Hello everyone and welcome back to The Pit. Today is yet another incredible video, very special content, because today we are going to speak about Armies of Italy. Armies of Italy? I hear you say already, but it's not out already. It will be like another year before it's out. And here is where you are wrong, because you underestimate the creativity of the bolt action community. In this case, the creativity and the hard work of a couple of friends of mine, personal friends of mine, and of Warlord Games. This group of guys did a really incredible work that we are going to discuss in a little bit. Tonight, here with me, we have Enrico, which is one of the authors of this beautiful piece of work. So, Enrico, welcome to the pit, welcome to the channel.
Hello, everyone.
So,
keep going.
Yeah, tell us something about you, about your player group. What do you do, and why did you decide to do this?
So, in the start, I am a huge Italian collector in both bolt action, and I'm also a World War II Italian reenactor. So, for me, this kind of topic is kind of personal. And by seeing the job made by Warlord, we weren't happy about it. With both version 2 and now version 3, we weren't satisfied, okay? So Mr. De Florio, the friend that started the project back in V2, we decided to launch it for V3 because, as you may know, Italy has basically one rule, that is defensive strategy, that with the latest errata doesn't work half the times. Good job. And also there are so many errors in the profiles. So we started writing down the book, starting from the V2 ones and adding probably every unit available, and to standardize it to V3 standard.
So basically, this was a work that began already back in Bolt Action V2, and you took the chance of the new version to basically just update it to the latest game set.
Yeah, the book was the book back in V2 was already good. It had a couple of rules that we used here too, but the Case Blue campaign rulebook came out, and we simply dropped our manual because the Case Blue one has all the flavor that we wanted to add to Italy.
Now,
but in V3, campaign rulebooks are now outdated, unusable, and so on. Write down another book.
Well, this is a good point. Even though personally, as you well know, I hated Case Blue with all of myself, because while on the one hand the basic manual Italian rules were the worst, were by far the worst in all of bolt action, and to the surprise of no one, nobody played Italians. I think maybe 5 or 6 people in Italy did, but on overall the rules were just rubbish. I think
the true fanatics of the Italian army.
Yeah, because Italians had the only national rule who could actually work out to be a disadvantage, because it gave you a very small advantage if you were winning, but if you started losing, you basically were out of any hope of ever coming back, because it was a -2 to all of discipline. So it was just simply insane. So while a rework of the Italian rules was absolutely needed, I think they went too far with Case Blue. But we are not here to talk about Case Blue. In the meantime, while you were speaking, I started to just scroll on the on your PDF, on your new army book, so to speak. As our viewers can see, basically the lettering and everything is precisely that used by Warlord Games. So it's a very, very familiar site for viewers, so to speak. And here we are at the core, probably, of the work. I mean, it's the first thing that you look for when a new army is released, and that is the army special rules. Do you want to guide us through them and possibly share with us the reasoning why you chose these bonuses, these actions?
Of course. So, we start by Artilleryman Fire Point Blank, or Artiglieri Alzo Zero. Basically, the historical fact is probably most of the times, Italian artillerymen are found dead on the piece instead of running away and shooting to the last moment to try to, how can I say, bring it home.
To squeeze that very small bonus to penetration.
They were a little bit angry because normally artillery are on a second line, and if the how can I say, the chief piece, the piece chief, I mean the one who coordinates the entire weapon crew, scream at the loader and the gunner, just point the gun forward and shoot as fast as possible. We are at that kind of desperation, and in order to how can I say, represent in game this mechanic, our artillerymen are allowed to reroll morale tests. So when you are in game, you do roll morale tests when the crew is halved or some other effects take place. So you're already in a really bad situation, and this maybe it has a lot of flavor.
Yeah, I like this rule because it's flavorful, which is super important. It's not game breaking because, as you said, usually if you are starting to roll morale checks, it means that something has gone wrong already.
Yeah.
But this, it's just a little bit of flavor more. So it's not stubborn because it's not you roll on your base leadership. It's just a reroll. So I really dig this rule, again, both for flavor and for game balance, from a game balance perspective.
Next rule is improvise anti-tank weapon. This rule is taken from Case Blue campaign book, but with a little bit of how can I say, work around it, because in Case Blue the rule says that any weapon with lower than 3 of penetration can roll to damage. Okay, this means that something like vehicle mounted autocannons could be extremely strong because they have mobility. They can get in point blank real fast. So we wanted to avoid that kind of power creep because in V3 autocannons are meta. are disgustingly good. So we made that heavy weapons, field heavy weapons, and anti-tank grenades and infantry without anti-tank grenades can reroll the roll to damage.
So just the penetration, not the damage roll, right?
It was no. When you roll to the third label with the damage chart, you can reroll it if you have as written 2 or less pen value and guns. And anti-tank grenades and infantry in general, because also here is to represent the fact that Italy didn't have a proper anti-tank. No, I will not say doctrine, but they didn't have effective anti-tank tools. So how can I say? This is what you have. This is what you have.
You have to make do with what you have.
To work around. Okay, so there are plenty of makeshift anti-tank grenades, sticking up multiple grenades. Some are also official, like the Granata Pazzaglia. It is an improvised anti-tank grenade, but made official by the books, the manual. And so
basically it's a present to Italian ingenuity, because if there's one thing Italians are famous for in the world, are because when we are in a tight spot, we come up with the craziest solutions to problems, right?
Yeah.
Just one question.
Also, one last thing. The historical reference to this is also in North Africa, especially, soldiers are instructed to dig holes to hide, and when the tank passes over, you roll out and stick either the grenade on the bottom of the tank or jump on top of the tank and stick the grenades in it.
Now, I just have a rules question. Does this rule also apply to mortar shots?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it is in the heavy weapons and artillery units category.
Okay. No, I was just wondering if that you thought about that, if about including mortars or not, because in my opinion, but again, this is slightly going off topic. Mortars and more in detail, mortar spam is one of the issues brought by the platoon system in V3. But again, that is going sideways and badly off topic. Let's move to Ferrea Mole, Ferreo Cuore.
This is one of my favorites because I am a tanker by myself, or I am a tanker myself. So in the same how can I say, in the same think of desperate situation of the Italian army, we didn't have good tanks. We had decent, serviceable tanks, and they outdated the 47mm gun on our M series tank. Cannot damage a Sherman tank, for example, in 1942. So the tankers, the crewman, was kind of crazy enough to drive as close as possible to try to land a shot either on the sides or in some weak spot, or try to keep shooting. Maybe it goes down.
So it's like doing drive-by shootings like you see in gangster movies. You just drive by your opponent and try to to hit them in the back or in the side where their armor is weaker.
Yes. Also, in earlier part of the war, when Italy faced Matilda tanks and Valentine tanks in North Africa, it was the standard procedure also there, because they were too tanky for the small 47 millimeter, and they had to drive closer and on either side or back. So in game, Italian veteran vehicles can reroll a failed advance or run test. As long as this movement brings them closer to an enemy vehicle.
Again, this is a rule pretty much like artillerymen fire point blank.
Yes.
I like this rule because, once again, it's fluffy, it's historical, but in my opinion, it's not game breaking. Because, first of all, if you are running straight in the middle of an enemy armor formation, well, you are in the middle of an enemy formation, and as we all know, Italian tanks are not exactly known for their sturdiness or resistant to damage, so to speak. So it's a kind of a trade-off. You risk it, you try, do your best. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you put yourself in danger. So you have to decide whether or not to fully utilize these rules. Plus, it's confined to veteran tankers, so once again, it's not for everybody. Plus, I like the caveat that does not apply when you come from reserve or outflanking. And in any case, if you are facing an all-infantry army, the rule doesn't even apply. So it has a lot of in-game balance, in my opinion. And I like balanced rules, so I really like this one very, very, very much.
Probably the biggest key of this rule is that is confined on veteran vehicles, and as we all know, there's no real point in bolt action to buy veteran vehicles, because you don't have any significant improvement for the price you pay.
Yeah, it's very, very niche. It might be worth on higher damage value vehicles, if that means you can be immune to low AP anti-tank like medium mortars, etc. But then again, you pay a premium for that veteran status, and yeah, it doesn't. I really don't think it breaks the game in any way, shape, or form. So it's all good in my opinion. So these are the three national rules. Then you decided to go with the flow, so to speak. So like we have for the fatherland, we have by earth, sea, water, whatever the US have.
By air, land, and sea.
Then we have, we don't speak about the British here because I want to retain my sanity. So we have an old rule that comes back in another form. We have Avanti Savoia. So how does this work?
As they already mentioned, for the fatherland and by air, land, and sea, if you pick some, you can make, thematic armies, because Italy has a lot of flavor in each of the units, starting from the uniform to the composition and so on. So what we have here is the Bersaglieri, light infantry. If you take it veteran, for plus 1 point per model, they can have the rule Avanti Avanti. What does it do? Basically, you reroll failed advance and run orders. Internationally, Bersaglieri are famous for their run, for the feather from the helmet or either the hat. They were like really good trained soldier because the parameters for being a Bersaglieri to pass the test was having a good run and being a good shooter. So we had these two roles. In the V2 case blue rules, they go with the good at shooting rule, so they have fire maneuver. Because of fire maneuver, this edition is not as great as the previous one, we decided to basically copy the tough guts rules because actually these rule games come out in the probably forgotten for good Italy Tough Guts book. But it was, how can I say, restricted to GIL Bersaglieri. That was like the allied Italy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this because the as you mentioned in Case Blue, they basically strapped on them the same rule that the U.S. troopers had for fire maneuver, and the new fire maneuver rule. I agree with you. I don't think it would fit Bersaglieri at all. So I kind of dig this rule as well. Again, another as it's noted here, it doesn't apply when you come onto the table from reserve or outflanking, and it doesn't apply for assaults. And again, this really works as a limiting factor, so to speak, while preserving the spirit of the unit itself. So again, I think it's well done.
Hold up, they are calling me on my mobile.
Yeah. In the meantime, we have the paratrooper teams. This is the very same rules we have seen in the U.S. book, in the German book, that we will see in every other army list. We know that paratroopers are veterans and they are stubborn, so there's nothing new here. It's a classic. The same goes with the Alpini, the mountain troops. Once again, this is nothing different from the usual mountain troops that we find in third edition. So we have veteran and we have the fieldcraft rules, right? So the paratroopers and the mountain troops are basically just as they are in every other army.
Yeah.
But then we have a fourth, because we are like the English. We are special. We have four things.
I mean, they could have done a fourth thematic army also for the other two books, but they forgot. For example, one thing they missed on the American book is the FSSF, the Special Forces, American Special Forces. But we are not here to talk about Armies of USA. We are here to talk about this splendid book.
Absolutely.
Basically, Camicia Nere works almost as the German SS. I mean, historically, they were the fanatic party, the fanatic army. But not everybody, when seeing the face of the war, were so fanatic. So, just like the SS, if you take in experience, they have, in this case, non testati, which on a roll of 1 or 2, you got Schürger. On a 3-4, nothing happened. 5-6, they become actually fanatics.
Yeah, and this is pretty much the already existing rule. So again, no balance problems here.
Yes, but in this case, camicia nere or black shirt mean actual in the Warlord official PDF. You can only take them as regulars, and they must have this rule. Instead, we can maybe see it later, because Camicia Nere is not this kind of warlord soldiers as militia, inexperienced militia. We also had M battalion, M assault battalions, the Battaglioni M, which they were an ad hoc assault unit, fanatics, really, how can I say, tough guy. And then the classic demolition charge that also the Germans and the United States have.
Again, now, let me just point out that another thing that I love about this book is all the references, all the period pictures, both of soldiers and equipment, as we will see later on. Now, I realize Warlord, they produce miniatures. Sometimes they want to show off their miniatures, but I think it's very, very fitting to see more and more images of actual soldiers, if you get what I mean. I think it completely changes the feeling the book gives. And I also think that one of the main limitations of the new army books is that they are so bland. So they cost 30 euros. You get the usual few couple of pages of recap about World War II, which nobody reads because 99% of the players already know what we are talking about, and you don't start learning about World War II by playing bolt action, basically. And so I think that what the book needs is this type of flavor to warrant the price tag that they attach to the product. So, like, having more pictures, more like true stories. So you don't need to make up fantasy stories, because history is full of events, of courage, of tragedy, of victories, of losses, and I think this is something that Warlord would really benefit if they spent a little more effort into this rather than what they are currently doing. My personal opinion. So we start having a look at the entries. Well, they are basically worked out the very same way as they are on the Warlord official books, so it's absolutely nothing new for our viewers. But then again, you see almost every entry as its picture, and again, I think this makes the book more interesting and makes it a good product by itself, even if you are not playing bolt action all the time. Again, personal opinion. So we have the usual suspects. We have the infantry squads. Now, for Italy, you went with the 11-man teams, because this is actually what happened, or what should have happened in Italy formations in World War II, right?
Yeah, basically from I think 1938 to 1940, the standard was 9-man rifle section, and in 1941 it has been increased to 11, because Italian formation are kind of weird, because normally you have a squad of maybe 12 men, speaking about the Germans, the Russians, depending on the period, British and so on. Italy had like 20 men squad. because they have the division inside the squad where you had a corporal commanding the rifle section. They were like 9 men, and they had the the machine gun group. They were 9 men too. You had a sergeant commanding the section, and the machine gun section was composed of 2 Breda LMGs, with 1 corporal each commanding the subsection. But it is a mess to make this in bolt action, because they tried to make it in Case Blue with the large squads, but I tried personally. They never work, because you know that that squad with 1 single pin, being veteran, being 20 men, you will roll 11 or 12 and they go down.
Well, even though, truth be told, in 3rd edition, they somehow made it better, at least in my opinion. In the beginning, I was very, very reluctant about the changes in the shooting phase, but I have to say that after playing a decent number of games, and I kind of like the fact that you are no longer excessively penalized by pin markers, for example, so that you can retain a sort of fire efficiency even while pinned. Then, of course, the 11 nowadays is also a good roll. It wasn't in 2nd edition, so most of the time, if you are not super pinned, you just have to avoid that double 6, if at all possible. Then we have the Bersaglieri we were speaking about.
They came with Avanti Avanti rule by default, and then you can take the HQ unit and upgrade it to veteran +1 and make it HQ Bersaglieri. Same with Alpini.
And here we are.
And here the new.
So we have 3 different flavors of black shirts.
Yeah, the fresh meat, the inexperienced one that has non testati, the regular ones that are easily fanatics, and then you have the veterans that are used to represent the M battalions. These, as I mentioned, ad hoc assault units, which can have up to 4 machine guns, and it can have also, I think, the fighters.
Yep. Yeah, we have the upgrade here again to represent the specialized assault groups, basically, because then again, not all fascists were the same. Not all of them were brave. Not all of them were strong, but a couple of them were. And despite the fact that technically the black shirts are a militia, being a militia doesn't mean that you are not trained, that you are not very, very prepared when you go in battle.
I have to make a correction here, because in English it sounds very bad, the terms militia, but in Italian's term, militia, that came from Latin, I don't remember the meaning, because Lorenzo explained to me, but basically these troops were basically like regular infantry. They had the same training, except that these were ultra-fascists.
Yeah, because the name comes from miles, which is the Latin for soldier, actually.
Yeah.
So miles or milites in the plural tense. So again, literally, again in Italian, the if you are not aware of that, you might think that, oh, they're militia, they're crap, they're good for garrison duty only, etc., etc. So as usual, knowing languages is good. Then we have the paratroopers. We also have the our very own Marines.
There's not much to talk about it because we removed the behind enemy lines from the San Marco Marines because they weren't any special, okay? They were like the United States Marines, they were like the Japanese Special Naval Landing Force, they were simply infantry troops for the Marine Corps. But there's these episodes where the Regia Marina both a lot of stocks of MAB 38 machine guns before the war, and so in these units you had a higher percentage of submachine gun, because otherwise you only the NCO is allowed to take one.
Yeah, we clearly see the difference. Again, we have, of course, paratroopers. They are known for having an extra oomph of submachine guns if you want them, of course. Then we have the scouts.
This is new.
We have the
probably this is one unit that Roberto hates.
Why do you think so?
Because they are veterans, forward deployers with +1 to cover saves if they are they hold the ground.
No, actually, I like it. I like they're
really?
They're pretty much they very alike the German ones. Now I can't remember the exact names.
Spartruppe.
Yeah, the Spartruppe, right. And no, I honestly have nothing against this. You don't have many men. You have smaller units. They can be useful again to infiltrate. They can hold forward positions. No, yeah, absolutely no gripes for that. I mean, I was a Boy Scout in my youth, so I can't hold grudges against scouts of any declination, so to speak.
Also, one cool fact about the exploratory that you can make it with all the 3 branches, or 4 branches, I don't remember. Okay, yeah. Because with Esploratori you can represent the Italian skiers of the Monte Cervino, elite Monte Cervino, instead of giving them some stupid rule about testing at 10. This is a good example of how to represent that the Monte Cervino.
Yeah, this I fully agree on. Again, in my personal opinion, less is more. I don't think you always need a special rule to make a unit stand out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's enough, again, to do something just like you said. You take infiltrators, scouts, you make them Alpini, you have your Monte Cervino, voila. And I really dig that. I think this is good game design, not having to come up every time with one special regiment with their own special set of special rules. That's not something I like. Then we have the special, the Italian special forces, so to speak.
They are some kind of cheap copy of the German Brandenburgers, because they don't cost 19 points per model, but only 15. And I don't remember if we made... okay, yeah, we made a little, how can I say, restriction that in order to use the sabotage rule, at least one unit of incursori has to be in reserve. because they are outside of the field jamming the road system and so on.
Yeah.
Instead of like the branded boogers, okay, you have a straight -1 to enter from the table. Whatever.
Yeah, again, I think this makes perfect sense, pretty much like you have Carabinieri or other troops that, or Felgendarmerie, etc. They give their bonuses or their minuses, in this case, when they are off the table, because there is where they're actually working their magic, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of sense, actually.
Then we have the Guastatori that they are your common engineer squad.
Yeah, here, personally, I would just lower the number of flamethrowers to 1. Just this is the only thing I would probably change of this. For the same, they are the usual. As you said, they are your run-of-the-mill engineers.
I mean, historically, they had 2 flamethrowers in the teams. But also in terms of game, you want to avoid the double flamethrower, because if you start having losses, you're running short of men to sacrifice, or you are investing way too many points in a single squad, because 2 flamethrowers are 60 points, like 6 regular men squad.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. Only maybe to see that the flamethrowers misses, and then they empties on a 2.
Oh yeah, of course they will, because we all know, all of you who tried flamethrowers, you well know that you will run, you will roll that 1 or a 2 in the worst possible moment, especially if you miss. But it's like a special bonus. If you miss, you have like a +1 to the failure roll, just to add insult to injury. So we have the aforementioned Carabinieri. We have our nice cavalry squads. Now, one thing I'm happy about V3, and you are laughing because you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Is that all of a sudden there is no longer this slew of cavalry armies running around, which I thought was one of the most stupid thing in the whole of 2nd edition. And again, yes, I'm talking about you, Case Blue.
Yeah, back in Case Blue, you had the Savoia Cavalleria squad that was stupidly strong, because you can make 2 charges in 1 turn, and
Insane.
whatever.
Insane. Simply insane.
Yeah. Straight up broken, because you ruined the action economy, because you are now making 2 action per turn.
Yeah. Plus, with the old charge rules, which I usually call them the Pac-Man rules, because you went like chopping units one after another without losing models, and it was just so stupid. And again, the changes to close combat is one of the things I probably like the most in V3, because close combat can still work, is just less straightforward. You have to plan about it and consider, and you might take losses, because again, I think it makes perfect sense.
And also really hope for the enemy to low roll, because I did some. I mean, my colleague Lorenzo tried some charges. He had like 4 veterans charging an inexperienced 3-man units, and the inexperienced win. The inexperienced won. He was like, ho. Also, can you go up 1 second?
Sure.
One thing I want to point out is the colonial infantry / European auxiliaries. With these profiles, we how can I say, pack together either the Libyan infantry that we had in the colonies at the start of the war, or the Croatian volunteers that goes to Russia.
Yeah, as you state in the description as well. And again, it's pretty cool. They were part of the Italian forces, so it makes perfect sense to see them on board. Then we have another.
Also, one historical fact about them, about the Croatian Legion, I think it was. Yeah. They were in a sector between the Pasubio Infantry Division and the Torino, I think, Infantry Division in Russia when the Little Saturn happened. And they stand to the last man and they were completely destroyed. So very heroic from their side.
Yeah. Then we have some Italian grenadiers, because again, English are not the only ones with some kind of special troops. Then again, they are not. Again, please describe. They are just a nice detailed unit.
I really know little about them. My colleague Lorenzo is more informed about. The only thing I know is what is written in the description, that they were some kind of tall man unit to make like more
imposing
impression on the field, because we have this huge man. They did a couple of stubborn action. For example, during the 1943 defense of Rome, they were one of the troops that tried to fight to the last man against Germany. But I don't know anything else.
Yeah, now, fun fact, so not everybody maybe knows that to this day, we have the corazzieri, who are the personal bodyguards of the president of the Italian Republic, which, in a sense, they want to imbue the same way of physical prowess and literal stature to be imposing and to really kind of demoralize your enemies, so to speak. Then we have the usual suspects: medium machine guns,
anti-tank rifle, nothing new, flamethrower, sniper, light mortar, medium mortar.
Then
one thing that our light mortars can do and the Germans cannot is firing smoke rounds, because the 45mm Brixia light mortar had smoke rounds in reality.
Now, I don't think, though, this is written.
I mean, in the German one, it's
specified that they cannot.
That you cannot fire smoke rounds.
Now, I don't remember if in the main rule book it's stated otherwise. I'm not sure about that.
No.
I'm not sure
because
about
it's something that they are adding now, that they are making the armies book. That they, for example, in the case of the Germans, say, "Oh, okay, you can shoot smoke rounds from here."
Plus,
the rule book and the PDF are kind of generic and they don't have much depth.
Yeah. Something we don't see are the heavy mortars.
Because we didn't have any. There are some rumors, some story that we used captured Soviet at 120mm, but for me is not a good reason to put another 20mm heavy mortars in the Italian army list.
I agree, because usually going with captured equipment is more of a sort of a spur of the moment. You have to be lucky enough to find said weapons still in working conditions. You need to find the ammo, etc., etc. So while I would have nothing if you on a one-off game you play a heavy mortar. I think it makes sense not to put them as in the core rules, so to speak. Then we have our nice artilleries.
Yeah.
We have the nice anti-aircraft gun. I'm speeding a little bit here because I want to arrive to the vehicle section where there are some more interesting things to say. And here we are, starting with the infamous tankettes.
This section of the book is the most how can I say, work around, because I rewrite all the Italian vehicles, because understanding the vehicle design system, it was kind of hard, because with the different army books they are releasing, they are specifying or fixing what with the standard rule book or the PDF wasn't clear. Because, for example, vulnerable, that is one common rule that Italian tanks have. If we look at the rule book, the base rule book, you have like the American Stuart that costs 15 points, the British Stuart that costs 10 points, and then you have like medium tanks vulnerable, for example the M3 Lee, that is 20 points. But also the Italian Semovente 4732, that is a 7+, is a 20 points discount. So it was a mess, and with the latest Armies of United States release, it helped me a lot to fix all these point issue. So as you can see, we split all the different vehicles and variants. We don't have any more like medium tanks and a wall of text to explain all the variants.
Well, that of course that was due to space, to address space, just to save some space in the PDF. I was not against that. I mean, if you need to just release easy to, well, probably not easy to read, but just condensed versions of rules, I was not against that. But of course it's nicer when you have the full army book to have different entries for the different vehicles, because it also allows you to go in detail explaining actually what the different versions were all about. So again, this I would like our viewers to appreciate once again the beauty of having all of these historical pictures of real tanks, and it really shows you how brave were the Italian tankers to go in battle inside some of these metal boxes. Can we say that? With very light metal sheets.
Tuna box.
Yeah, more or less.
But this is what the Italian war industry was able to pull off, because we had a lot of problems.
Yeah. Plus, keep in mind that regardless, of the fact that we all are used to laugh about Italian armor, in bolt action, they are actually insanely good.
Yes.
So this is the paradox. So if you want to have a very strong armored force, you should go play Italians. because you have a bunch of extra.
You have so many machine guns.
Yeah, so many DACA
In reality,
tanks.
they were crappy machine guns because you had like 24 box magazine loaded from top, making the effective rate of fire being really low. But they are medium machine gun in multi-action.
Yeah. Super DACA tanks, because despite how crap your turret main weapon can be, you are still immune to light infantry weapons, so you can really go a long way.
Well, we also completely reworked the M1542 because in the last two edition, Warlord put a fake second coaxial machine gun out of nowhere. I made like 2 videos about it, showing the internal, because I was inside one of those tanks. I was inside, and I was recording and say, okay, this is where the first and only coaxial machine gun is. On the right side, you have the optic for the main gun. So tell me where the second coaxial is.
Yeah, some British creativity there.
Yeah.
Okay, a bunch of flamethrowers. Then we come to a new special rule. This is the first vehicle we see that on.
Yes, because historically the Semovente 7518 was an Italian copy of the German Stug, the first Stug with the light howitzer, the short barrel 75mm. But we also developed an HAT round called Effetto Pronto in order to pierce through enemy armor, because as I already mentioned, the 47mm of the M series tank was already not enough. So when this was made, it had not only to support infantry, but also to do the tank to be tank destroyer, tank hunter.
Because actually, yeah, sorry, please go on.
And how the Effetto Pronto works is rather unique, because we know that you are shooting with a howitzer that is not exactly a precise anti-tank weapon, with a heavy shot, because HAT rounds in reality are slower, so it's hard to aim at longer distance. So when you are below half range, in case of the light howitzer is below 24 inches, you can have this +5 pen shot, the same as a medium anti-tank gun, and you have the shape charge rule. Rather unique and I think amazing.
How does this rule interact with the extra to hit bonus of anti-tank weapons against vehicles? Does it benefit or does it not?
No, because we don't mention that you are firing as an anti-tank gun. You are still a light howitzer shooting with special round. That also doesn't mention any kind of anti-tank gun, because the wording states with a +5 pen modifier, not firing as a medium anti-tank gun.
Because the weapon itself is still a light howitzer, only it changes the type of ammunition.
If you want a proper medium anti-tank gun, you have the Semovente 7534.
Voila, easy as that. Now,
there's also this problem in V2, because the Semovente 7518 in bolt action is already a medium anti-tank gun, So there wasn't a reason to have the Movente 7534 because you already have the other 75, which is a medium tank, and so this vehicle was forgotten.
Now, another thing that I find interesting is that not all vehicles can have the same quality. For example,
Yes.
in the 7518, you can't have them at inexperienced. But on the 7534, you cannot have them at veteran, Which again, remember that these has implications as per your national rule, because remember we have, that works only for veteran vehicles. So this was a lot of work to actually work out the exact experience level of tankers. Did you do this on purpose? Did you base this on historical research, or it was just game balance?
I think the game balance thing was the last stuff we had, or maybe we didn't even talk about it. But in terms of availability and can say synergy with the Ferramole Ferracuore, that works really good in in North Africa and probably in Russia, but much less in Russia. But the fact that our tanks trying to get as close as possible against the other enemy tanks is a North Africa thing. And North Africa campaign finished in 1943. And all these vehicles that are now being labeled are post North Africa, and they were so scarce that they cannot allow tankers to
become veteran.
To charge, what can I say? I don't remember the word. Not without fear. Not without fear. Without self-preservation, because basically. In 1943, we lost probably all the armored forces in both North Africa and Russia. We were really short in terms of armored vehicle.
Then we have again a whole bunch of vehicles, each of them with their very, very nice picture. Once again, I cannot stress enough how much I love to see every single unit. It really adds so much to the book to me. It's absolutely fantastic. So many of the vehicles our readers will know already, because of course they are not inventions, so they are kind of old friends, to use an expression that is dear to Warlord Games. We have a bunch of novelty weapons, and then one of the most controversial vehicle in bolt action. We have the Fiat Protetto, with the possibility of carrying 20 men into a non-open topped transport vehicle.
Fun fact about the roof of this vehicle is that Warlord based the profiles on one single picture of the prototype of the roof and make it close. But normally the vehicle is open, but we simply added the possibility to make it open. Also because in terms of gameplay, you wanted to have an open top transport vehicle, because your officer inside can issue orders to outside units. In the case of a closed-up vehicle, you cannot.
Yeah, that's true. And we have the usual trucks and other support vehicles.
Also, please go up a second. Again. To the there it is, the Auto Protect S37. We added a particular configuration that is historically accurate, but that by reducing the transport capability, you add a light anti-tank gun. the same 47-32 gun that Italy had.
We have the trucks, we have the cars, tractors, the mules. Of course, you can't have a mule without an Alpino standing by.
They also made the miniatures about the mules for the Alpini.
Oh well, it's only right that they did. I mean, you can't have one without the other. It's really they were literally so close, because when you fought in mountainous regions and areas, mules were the only possibility you had to carry heavy equipment and the like. So, and again, there are many stories of mules receiving awards, I think, and
yeah. Gold medal for service.
And so that's what's...
And also statues. They made a couple of statues about the legendary mule teams.
Yeah, and this is, and again, very nice, because
very Italian.
Yeah, but again, that's history. They are not stories. Yeah. That's history. So we had, I think this was added in V1.3. Is it possible? The section about...
No, in the V2 manual, Italy had already, how can I say, access to this capture vehicle. Also written capture Renault R35. And one addition is the Somo. That was, I think, used in Yugoslavia, probably?
Now, we are approaching the end of the book, but as they say, the best part is right in the end. Now we have the force selection guide, which is something Warlord is doing in their official army books. So you differentiate between early war, mid-war, and late war, usually, because of course equipment changes during the years. But as you all know, we Italians are special, and if you know the history of World War II, you know that in 1943 something pretty important happened right when the Allied troops started to actually climb the Italian boots, so to speak. So, what did you decide to do to actually represent in-game the duality that was Italy in the last period of World War II?
This is an interesting period because Warlord never tried to write it down properly. We had like a subsection of Duel in the Sun campaign book that was something like, yeah, you can take a generic reinforced platoon and then one unit of Camizzonere can be fanatics by the start instead of trying to roll for the non-testati. So is a mess. Italy late war is a mess because you have the country broken in two. One part still fighting for the with the Germans, with the Italian Social Republic of Salò, and then the south having how can I say,
Capitulated to
doing
the...
an oath to the king. How can I say, joining the Allies, try to remove the fascists from Italy and also the Nazis.
Yeah, we have on the historical date of September the 8th of 1943. And in game, how does this work actually?
Okay, so you have this rule, the first one, that is conflicting loyalties. The historical background about this is the Italian Social Republic had a huge number of desertion because the war is going bad. You are forced to fight and so on. You just failed the campaign in Russia. You just failed the campaign in North Africa. You are either a hyper fanatic or you are demotivated. So what happened when immediately before the operant rolls to hit when shooting or for casualties in close combat, roll a d6. From 1 to 3 you got demotivated, and from 4 to 6 you gain stubborn, to represent the fact that you are on the road to become a proper fanatic and not only wishing to go home and not so war anytime.
So basically, this work as an additional national rule, sort of.
A complete new set, because if you want to play with our books in the later period, you had either these rule sets or these rule sets. Or, I mean, the co-belligerent.
Yeah, plus, if you want to stick with the Nazis, you, of course, get the access to some German weapons and units, right?
Yes. Also, we have Carabinieri and other units that, with the rule chain dogs, that can remove the motivated and shirker rules at a 6 inches bubble. Also, in order to, how can I say, to represent because the Carabinieri are, how can I say, they are pro-king instead of pro-Benito. Their place in the Social Republic has been taken over by the GNR, that are Guardia Nazionale Repubblicana, to make this job. And then you have also access to Pack 40, Panzerfaust, Panzerschreck. You also saw it in the picture. And you, how can I say? And then you have Per l'onore d'Italia, that is the motto for
This one?
for the honor of Italy. How can I say? For Italy honor. Which basically is the Avanti Savoia with some different iteration.
So,
and here the army list,
which is mostly the same, but not
yes,
all the same. And then with some, we have a couple new units, so to speak, to represent the fact that these vehicles were actually built in the northern part of Italy, which was still under German occupation, so to speak. So they got basically to work with in tandem with the Germans, etc., etc.
we had a couple of new vehicle and weird vehicle.
Again, all of this with their picture, awesome. But
And then
you might not want
this
to fight along the fascists. You might like to fight for freedom, right?
in opposite of the Italian Social Republic and the Social Republic Army, the how can I say, the Kingdom of South, that is I don't remember the word. Sorry for the Italian. Come si dice fedele? Fedelty?
No, loyal.
Yeah, they are loyal to the king. That in the meantime flew to outside Italy to seek hiding. They were very much motivated. You had a lot of how can I say, volunteers, and their common how can I say, spirit was to hunt the fascists out of Italy. So your first role is vengeance.
Which is the old English rule, basically.
Yes. Then you have inter-allied coordination, because the newly formed Army of the South was under British and American control, and so you have like the artillery barrage from the British, and then you have like the intelligence officers, if anybody will play it, because it's weird. Instead of rolling one dice to for the effect, you roll 2 for the intelligence officer. And also, this rule justifies the use of armored unit, because this army by itself didn't have any armored units. It was all used by the allies. And then you have the Avanti Savoia.
Yeah, and of course no black shirts, because that was a big no-no if you wanted to be fighting for the king. And then again, it's the new available options. As you said, we have a whole bunch of vehicles that were the allied vehicles, because as we said, there was basically no production of armored vehicles in southern Italy at that time.
All the industry was in the north.
Yeah. And
the model-wise, one last thing. Model-wise, you can represent this army with standard British army guys, and either adding the bersaglieri piumetto, the feathers, and painting like the Italian flag on the shoulder.
Yeah, so that's, if you want, it's a lot of modeling possibilities opening up for those who are into that. And with this, we come to the end of Armies of Italy. As you have said, this is nothing less than a fully fledged army book, and in many aspects, I think it's better thought out than the official one, so to speak. First of all, because it's made by people that actually know their history very well. Because now, of course, you can read stuff about everything. Not that I'm dissing Warlord Games or anything, but of course, if you spend year after year studying a specific subject matter, you will become more knowledgeable. That's something that addresses that every once in a blue moon, so to speak. So, as I think is being demonstrated over and over again in this chat that we are having with Enrico, I really think this book is incredible, and you should really give it a try. Now, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
How much have you been playtesting this?
Probably couple of play days. I mean, we all play on the weekends, so we had a couple of weekends to try it out, and a lot of thinking about. Also, building armies in order to test and stress every rules. So, for example, this, for example, is the I said for example 2 times. Nice. This is not the first iteration of late war rules. They were much worse before, because instead of being demotivated, the Social Republic Army got shirkers straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And after 1 or 2 matches, either Francesco or Lorenzo said, you know what, having shirker on all the army sucks. And also paying like 5 points on the officers for the chain dog rules was too much, because you already have a bad rule because it is working against you. At least give chain dogs for free to these guys, because you are still officer or either carabinieri dependent.
Mm-hmm. Very well.
But the Italian the main rules almost never touched after the first writing.
Yeah, again, I like them. I think they are very, very reasonable. And again, I think they achieve what a special rule is supposed to achieve. So they give flavor without breaking the game.
Yeah.
So I think this is the singular thing I like the most. And then again, a detail. For example, I didn't catch this on my first read. If you read carefully, these are the national rules for the years 1940 to 1943. So this actually tells you in advance that there is more to this. Very nice, very nice detail. And I think this is it. I'm going to post a download link below the video for those of you who want to give this rule, because this is a complete rule set. If you want to give this a try, of course, then you can give feedback to Enrico and the other guys who worked on this very, very great project. Enrico, thank you so much for being here on the channel with me tonight. I hope you're going
Thanks to you for the invitation.
I hope you're going to be back soon, possibly with the rest of the crew, so we can have some nice chit chat about bolt action. So I'll see you the next time. I'll see you, my viewers, in the next video. Enrico, again, thank you very much. See you very soon. This is it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Until the next time, as usual, be safe and ciao ciao.
Bye, ciao.